can you give us example of those seizures with evidence that offshore seizures that were not, that didn't make it to Nigeria? Can you give us examples? That's one. You can just take note, please. Two, was the promise by EFCC to pay you in 2014 documented? Because I came in and you said you had a brief meeting with the EFCC on their invitation, and they promised, I'm talking about the Bielsa funds, and they told you they were going to pay in 2014, or before the end of 2014. Was that promise made by the EFCC documented? Then, thirdly, I would want to know the subject matter that is in court between you and the EFCC. Just the subject matter.
First one has to do with the offshore seizures. Before you came, distinguished, I read that when Nuhu Ribadu appeared before the U.S. Congress on May 29, 2009, that he stated inter alia that Mr. DSP Alamesia, governor of oil-rich Bayelsa State, that he had 4 properties in London valued at about £10 million, plus another property in Cape Town valued at $1.2 million, that £1 million cash was found in his bedroom at his apartment in London, that £2 million was restrained at the Royal Bank of Scotland in London, and over $240 million in Nigeria. And that this is in addition to bank accounts traced to Cyprus, Denmark, USA, and the Bahamas. Now, these seizures never made it to Nigeria. And even the $240 million in Nigeria, you can see that what they claimed, the dollar is $1.3 million, is part of what I was recovering for Bayelsa State. So that is just one case. We have Emmanuel Nwude and so many other ones. Regarding the documentation, when I had my meeting with EFCC, the promise to pay was verbal. It wasn't documented. But the fact that the EFCC, the Bayelsa State the money, or rather did not remit all the money, is on record. And I have the record here. Now, I would
Sorry, please, but the invitation by the EFCC to discuss it, was it?
I produced it.
Fine.
I produced it. And even the letter I wrote them, I produced it. And my mandate from Bayelsa, I produced it. Okay. Now, the case with EFCC. You all are very much aware of Police Equipment Foundation. I was...
okay. It's about Police Equipment Foundation. That's all I want to know.
Exactly. Police Equipment Foundation.
It has nothing to do with this petition.
No.
That's fine.
No, it's been ongoing since 2008.
That's fine.
Okay. Chairman. Any question? The General, say it, please.
Why they take people's money, put it in the bank to enjoy the interest. Then they say the money is not yet in the account, whereas the money is there. That's one. Then secondly, I don't know, I'm surprised that the governor, chief executive of the state, will go to the court to dismiss a case. I don't know what you have done about that. You let it go like that, or have you taken some action to report him further? Because it's not above the law. Some of us have been governors. Oh, don't behave like that. So I don't know what you have done about that one. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished Senator. You are right. I do have a lot of corruption cases. But I chose to start with EFCC because when you are saddled with the responsibility to fight corruption, and you are using your office not just to commit fraudulent acts, but what I call Gestapo-style operation. For a sitting governor to cower into checking out of a valid case, your money, your state money.
That's right.
A former governor was arrested Case over, just refund the money to the state. I don't see any reason, I don't see anything bad in asking for your money back. So when I saw these, this intimidation, just like what happened now from EFCC, I now wrote a letter to former President Jonathan after this whole thing. First of all, I have a letter here. The governor sent me a letter of termination of mandate as recovery agent. This is the same person that went on the news that he didn't give me mandate. He wrote a letter terminating my mandate. And attached to the letter is notice to discontinue Bayelsa State versus EFCC. He wrote a letter asking that he has discontinued the case. He's not interested anymore. But there was a blessing that came out of this. When I got to court, I knew they were going to dismiss this case. I mean, my own client is asking that they dismiss it. Somebody in that court told me, we don't have many people like you that are fearless to fight corruption in this country. That in this same court, some Nigerians approached this judge and took Nigerian government to court, sued Nigeria for $3.1 billion US. That Adoke did not defend the suit. Okonjo-Iweala did not defend the suit. A month or a month and a half ago, I guess you people read about me, about the AGF fund. When they went to court, they had issued a garnishee order, and the Adoke responded that he couldn't defend the suit because Okonjo-Iweala did not give him the requisite documents to defend the suit. Somebody charged with the responsibility to defend the head of legal department of Nigeria. You are saying that you didn't have documents to defend Nigeria, and in the case Nigeria is losing $3.1 billion. So we have so many cases like this. Now, you asked about the same thing about the governor. Again, I blame a lot of Nigerians because I say EFCC is a country within a country. And I say it, and I mean what I say. Because when you have the upper class, the politicians, the business moguls, sitting governors, and they're all scared of you. I mean, they support you. Either they cannot come out to criticize you or something or whatever. Then you are running a country of your own. That is how I see it. And you will see that a lot of documents I tendered. How can you write the president of the country that you have recovered 967, well, he was a sitting president then, that you have recovered 65 billion naira, and he didn't ask where the money is? You are even in that same letter, read it. Farida Waziri is asking the president to retain 5%. How can you retain 5% when you are holding 100%? Are you understanding what I'm saying? I mean, they write all these letters talking about the achievements of EFCC, but they will never talk about where the money is or where they have remitted the funds, the recoveries. That is the problem I have with them.
So you say you reported to President.
The letters to we have other documents, yes. Like you also read that please.
Titled, is EFCC the Economic Crimes Watchdog or a dog to be watched? Submitted March 31st last year. And I have it here, stamped.
Okay, please submit some. We have that one. Okay, colleagues, Senator Obinaba, your question, please.
The petitioner has, to the best of my own ability, he has done his own this thing for today. I think that we have to adjourn for today. Maybe until we hear from the chairman of EFCC. If Mr. Chairman permits, that is just what I want to do.
Okay, please.
You gave us some hindsight into the bank, the domiciliations in different banks. And I don't know whether you have any document to support your claim where all these monies are domiciled. Do Do you have any statement of account? And you throw more light how you were able to get all the information from different banks, whether you got them through court order or your signatory to the account? Because I mean, it's surprising that you were able to get all the statements of account from different banks, all the balances in different accounts, without being either you're a member of that bank, a member of EFCC, or you have the authorized signature or whatever, or you got them through the bank,
The register.
or you got them through the court order. How were you able to get all the information from the banks?
Lots of documents I tendered were communications between EFCC, the legislature, the legislative arm, the executive arm, and those attachments were there. But I want to go a bit further. Whenever you have crimes being committed, those acts will strike anybody, any form of, I'll give you an example. An embassy, a mail going to an embassy is not supposed to be opened. It's off limit. But we have cases. We have a U.S. embassy in Colombia about 10 years ago. When the embassy was being used to smuggle drugs, they had to lose that cloak, if you know what I mean. So what I'm trying to say is the propriety of how I got the document shouldn't take the front seat. Is the genuineness, the authenticity of what it contains. If you are writing the president, I have another case, and I told them this one does not involve Lamode, where at the same Adoke Lamode wrote Adoke a letter asking to redeploy Juliet Ibeka, the acting director of NFIU, to redeploy her to director legal and redeploy one Francis to NFIU, to Adoke. But when Adoke was writing the president, he didn't mention that. He said that he asked the president, Jonathan, to appoint Akomaye as the DG of NFIU, and the act does not. You were there. They had not even finished passing the law making a DG to handle NFIU. So how can any form of immunity, whatever, cover such? That's fraud. Now the president approved it. I have the letter. The president approving. He may have done it because he's very busy, may not be aware. But so when you have such thing, you cannot say that because it's a communication between Attorney General and President. No, he will lose that cloak, in my opinion. And I challenge anybody to differ on that.
Okay.
You mentioned the banks where those monies are.
Yeah, well, look, I say some ways. Okay. I don't have where the 2.20 whatever trillion is. I don't have everything, but I have some. Okay. I showed you how the diversion, it took place at the what I call voodoo reporting. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that is what I have, and I think I have some CBN statements, and and I have some prayers that I didn't get to the prayers. They should come and explain these things. The auditor, Aminu Ibrahim and Co. that prepared the fund, the auditor account, he should come and where how he goes. So all these things are there. Exactly.
Well,
a lot of
about this is left for the committee.
Yes.
Like I said, it's a fact-finding committee.
Yes.
You are not going to tell us what to do and who to invite. We'll have that prerogative as a committee to off your microphone, please. Then we'll be able to do that. In the absence of any other question or further questions from my colleagues, I think we may call it a day with you. And
Chairman, sorry, Chairman. In the course of this investigation, even when we are not seated, or information available to you as the case proceeds, please definitely make sure you get them across to the secretariat of the committee, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I have that one bulky. I just didn't want to, overwhelm you today.
We have 13 bulky documents. Bring them.
So you will see how assets are released to some VIPs in Nigeria. So even his younger brother Usman Lamode picking up from the exhibit, assets. So I have all that. Yeah, okay.
Like I said, gentlemen,
Order.
Gentlemen of the press, just like I have always said, we brought a petition to this committee, and our procedure is that once there's a petition to the committee, we invite the petitioner. We've heard from you extensively, and I want you to understand that the petition is not just a very small one, and like I said, we are not a law court. We are a fact-finding committee of the Senate. And you have given us evidences, and just like my colleague Senator Dino said, if you have other necessary supporting documents, to expatiate more on these allegations, because it's an allegation. We are also going to hear from the person that was positioned against, so that we'll be able to just oppose all that you have just said and what they may come with, and be able to help us in our reporting. It's going to be a very serious investigation, because the allegations are not light ones. They are very weighty allegations, and this is a very responsible Senate that we don't take things at the face value. We'll do a thorough investigation on this matter, and then when we need you again, the committee would like to have you back again for further cross-examination. Thank you very much. The Singlish, and then we'll call it the ladies and gentlemen. We're very grateful. Thank you for being around. Well, this section is closed until this one.
I will meet you in that 2 minutes. You see the program there?
Office.
We didn't know we finished this one in time. We have to fall out because I don't think. Chairman.
What happened next one, sir? The next one, sir.
Huh?
What happened next one now?
Are they around?
Yeah, they're here.
I said, okay, it's okay. It's okay. Where the secretary? Where the clerk now?
And I want to
Let the clerk clear them now. Please move out. Please move out.
Walk out quietly if you are not part of the next meeting.
wargaza kunkurin da kuma binciken da ita hukumar EFCC ke yi ma matar shugaban majalisar dattawa.
Wannan ba gaskiya ba ne, domin in ka duba tsohon kes ne shekara wajen 8 ana yin sa, har president a rubuta a baya bai bincika ba, kuma yanzu ya ga alama gaske ake za a yi ya kawo.